Good morning and welcome to a session of Canvas Live. Canvas Live sessions are presented by the Canvas community members or instructor employees to help Canvas users improve and enhance their teaching and learning with Canvas. We are again continuing our Office 365 LTI series, and today we're going to talk about assignments. My name is B-Rai. I'm a community manager here at Instructure, and with me is Nicholas Demas. He's also a trainer here at Instructure. And we're going to talk about the Office 365 LTI. Just as we start every session, we go over what the LTI does and what it means so that we're all on the same page. And then I'll talk a little bit about what it can do or what we used to be able to do without the LTI. And then Nick is going to show us the demonstration where he'll show you how you could do the similar things with the LTIs, just so that you have sort of a way to kind of see both of them side by side, with and without. So the Office 365 LTI allows users to leverage more Microsoft tools and functionalities within Canvas. So that basically means less toggling between Microsoft and Canvas, and some of the permissioning is kind of automated there for you. To install the LTI, you would have to add it via EduApps, configure the LTI, and authorize access, which we'll go ahead and demonstrate here real quick. Basically, to add it, you would go to your course settings and click on the apps, do a search for Microsoft, and you'll see the Microsoft app show up. Click on it. It will prompt you to insert a course key and secret key, consumer key, and a shared secret key. And so in order to get that, you'd have to open up another browser tab, go to eduappcenter.com, and do a search for Microsoft Office. And you will see at the very bottom of that page a little link that says here. When you click on that link, it will prompt you to generate an LTI key and secret. You grab that LTI key and secret, go back to your course, insert that in there, and you should be good to go. The next step in that process is it'll probably ask you to authenticate. You go ahead and accept. And at that point, you'll be able to access all of your documents and files through Canvas. Today, we're going to talk about the assignment lifecycle. So we're going to talk about how you create an assignment, how do you submit an assignment from student view, and how to grade an assignment that comes through Microsoft. So to create an assignment before the LTI, you would before the LTI, meaning if you were going to use the files that you've already had in Office 365, you would probably go to Office 365, grab the link, the share link to the document you wanted to share, and you would go in and create an assignment, put in the prompts, link to that document, and make sure that the sharing permissions are okay, so that people could view that. That would have been one way of doing it if you were going to share some files that way. Another way of doing it is in the assignment prompts. If you wanted to embed the file in there as you're kind of linking to it, you would have gone to Office 365, click on the document you wanted to embed, and then from that document, grab the embed code and come back to Canvas and embed it using that embed code. So in other words, you could still reference the documents you wanted your students to look at. You would just have a couple of extra clicks to get there. Whereas with the LTI, it would be an easy way to just click on the rich content editor with the drop down for Microsoft LTI, and then just select the files from within this assignment prompt as you are creating them. But let's focus on the actual assignment settings today, since the prompts can be created anywhere, whether you're creating a page, whether you're creating a discussion, anywhere you see the rich content editor, you could create those links to those documents pretty easily. But when it comes to the assignment settings, here's where it might make a difference with and without the LTI. So in the past, without the LTI, you would have the option to either do text entry or file upload. And you might want to do file upload because you want the student to either upload the file through their desktop or have to download from their drive if they're using Drive. If you have a file upload option, that allows you in the back end when you're ready to grade, allows you to annotate the document. If you wanted to do text entry, you would have no annotation. But this was kind of the previous, without the LTI, this would be the way that you would ensure that students who are using Microsoft Office can still access and upload. And then if you were using the LTI, the way you would create that cloud assignment, you would have to then click on the external tool instead of file upload or online. You click on external tool. It would be prompting you to select Office 365 cloud assignment, and then you can click on the document that you would want your students to then build upon and submit later. And we'll have Nick kind of demonstrate a little bit of that too. From the student perspective, if it was a traditional file upload or text entry, they would go through the same process. If they had installed Office 365 as LTI, they would be able to select that file and upload it from their Office 365 files. Otherwise, they would have to download it from somewhere or has to be on their desktop, and they would upload it normally. If you wanted to create a cloud assignment, you would have to make sure that you would create a link to the document in your assignment prompts, ensure that the student downloads that document, changes the name of that document, and uploads it back into the file. And as they submit the assignment, they would have to upload it back. This is in the sense of like when you're creating worksheets and you want students to kind of have the same copy of a document, but just change their answers and put in their responses and things like that. So if you're in the creating a document or worksheet, without the LTI, you would have to kind of manually ensure that every student had a copy of the document. They would have to update it and rechange it and save it as a different name and re-upload it. Or if you are a Microsoft school, you would create the document, share that document for each student, create a new one and share it with that student, so that when the student goes back to submit the document and they wanted to submit it from their Office 365 files, they can just select it from there and submit it once they've made the changes. As far as after the submission, the grading side on the back end in SpeedGrader is pretty much the same. There's no difference as far as any changes with the LTI. You would still receive the file. You'll still be able to annotate as always, especially if it's a Word doc or a PDF file. So now I'm going to turn it over to Nick. He's going to demonstrate how this works with the LTI. Some of the same functionalities. We're going to take it through that assignment life cycle of creating. We may not be able to submit as a student, but we'll get a sense of what that might look like, and then what that looks like all the way through that assignment cycle. Nick?
All right. Good morning, Birai. Thanks for having me here today. It's a pleasure to be working through Office 365, and welcome everyone to this session. All right, let's just go into the demo portion of this. I'm going to jump over into my course itself, and you can see that I've already built just a little bit out. But for now, let's talk about just the old assignment method, the way we can update the old assignment submission using Office 365. What we're looking for when you look at this first piece right here, this O365 file uploads assignment, is really doing what we've already been doing with assignments, bringing them in, have students submit assignments. And so the process is largely going to be the same, except that in the way we're setting it up today, it's going to just open up that assignment tab so that students can submit using 365 directly. But let's do a couple things since we're here. If we want to refer to a document for students to be able to read, we can do so by grabbing, say, 365 from our external tools in the Rich Content Editor. One of my favorite places to work through as a Canvas trainer. Spend a lot of time with the Rich Content Editor. I really hope everybody does too. So I could use this, and I can add these different components that I want students to evaluate and provide the links to those pieces that I'm going to attach for students to evaluate. Maybe we'll say submit your feedback on this piece of music. Again, nothing too spectacular, profound here. Just going to go to and add the points, make sure we have our assignment group, and so on. And for submission type on this one, we're going to just keep it as an online submission, and we can still go through our file uploads, restrict our file types, and keep it so that, you know, we're just narrowing it down to our docs on this one. And let's just make this due today. And then we can save and publish that. Really, all we're doing, we just created the same assignment. We just streamlined the process a little bit for bringing in the doc for a student to refer to, that being this piece of sheet music right here. You don't know it's sheet music. I do, because I'm the one who created this. And again, we've created something that we can then use. And also we have the opportunity to add our rubric here if we so desire on this piece. So basically doing what you're already doing to streamline the process for bringing in that doc, rather than pulling the embed code or going through and creating a link to that document. We just placed it right there for students to be able to look at. Now, during the old method, you might have students actually, if you're doing a worksheet based on this document right here, you might have the students copy it, as B-Rai mentioned, copy it, name it, give it a new name so that they can then submit it to you. So, you know, let's take a look at how that might play out on the other end of things. Let's talk about this as a cloud assignment. All right, so as mentioned, students might make a copy of this, then they might submit this worksheet that we are going to hand in. What I like about using 365 when it comes to cloud assignments is that it really allows you to save so many steps in the process. I was thinking about this as B-Rai and I were preparing for this session. I just had these flashbacks to being a goody student in elementary school and showing up in the copy room on behalf of my teacher with that one worksheet in hand that I went and made 35 copies for. We had big classes. Went and made 35 copies for all the students so that we could use our horrible penmanship. I was right on the cusp on between good and bad penmanship, but I had to do that in order to create this worksheet. With Canvas, when we build the cloud assignment using 365, what we're essentially doing is streamlining that process, getting the student away from the printer and getting students away from making copies of the worksheet. They're going to be doing the copying basically based on the document you're placing as a cloud assignment. Now, word to the wise, we're going to be building this as an external tool. As such, we need to build our rubric first in order to build our cloud assignment. Now I'm going to go find a rubric rather than create a rubric. And one thing I do suggest, if you are going to be building, a bunch of worksheets in your class, maybe build rubrics around your different questions. I did this one very simply. Look at this. Question 1, 2, 3, 4. They're each going to be worth 10 points. And we're going to set this up. We're going to set up this worksheet, or all worksheets, in our different assignment groups so that they can be 40 points each. And I'm not going to worry about the math in the longer. So let me update the rubric. We're going to change that. We'll just get that set up now. So we have a rubric. Now we're going to go in and actually create the assignment. So let's go into edit for the assignments. Now, if you've been in any of the trainings that we do as a training team at Instructure, if you've visited any of these prior sessions, you know that one thing that we tell you to do, good naming conventions, of course, but we also encourage you to be descriptive when you give out your assignments. So do as I say, not as I do right here, because we don't want me to watch me write these detailed instructions. One of the ideas behind having detailed instructions is we don't want the students to come back and ask us what they're supposed to do, right? Aren't we trying to streamline the process? All right, so I mentioned our assignment groups. Maybe build a group based around worksheets in your assignment group area so that you can standardize that rubric and you can use this throughout the grading process and keep a standardized grading process for your worksheets. Worksheets are going to be 4 questions or 5 questions each. They're going to go into the assignment groups. You're going to weight the grades and do all that assignment group magic there. Now, here's the important part, though. Let's actually finish the creation of this assignment. We are going to go to External Tool, and within External Tool, we are going to select this Find option. When we go to Find option, we're going to be able to see those external tools that we can use to add our assignments. I have some fun ones in here. I have ARC in here as well. And you can submit assignments through ARC. But here's the 365 cloud assignment. I'm going to build this. I'm selecting that option, and then Canvas is going to push me into my SharePoint, OneDrive account, where I'm going to be able to pull in the worksheet that I do want to share. Now, B. Rye and I are on the same page. She did an Arizona worksheet. I did a Utah history worksheet. So we'll go with the Utah history worksheet, and we will submit this. Submit was the wrong word. I apologize for saying that. We are going to link these together in order to create that assignment. And then we will just go with select, and we are done. This is going to link or add this into Canvas so that students can use that to then work on these pieces. And then I am going to save and publish. And now I will have created a cloud assignment. So basically, Canvas became the copy machine for me. Canvas became the students, in a sense that the students are going to be able to go through, and they're going to be able to fill out this worksheet as part of the assignment. They're going to run across a page that looks similar to this, although they'll be able to submit, be able to interact, and work through the assignment. So where does this stuff go? Students submit these assignments. They're going to show up in our gradebook. And from the gradebook, we'll be able to select certain assignments. We're going to go and look at this practice cloud assignment that Marie Curie went through. I already opened it in a new tab, but we could do it a little bit differently. We could go into our speed grader and check it out here, and then go through the process. Oh, I do have a rubric with that one. Excellent. So look at this. Here we have the assignment that the student has submitted as a cloud assignment, and since it's been rendered this way, as a docx, it's going to be one of those pieces that can be used through Crocodoc. So we will be able to do the fun drawing stuff on this. Maybe we give the little guy a mustache, a bad mustache at that. And that can be part of the assignment. And then we can also be using our rubric for the grading that we have set up in order to streamline this entire process. So keep that in mind when we're creating these assignments. They're going to show up in the gradebook. You'll be able to look at these worksheets, consider building your rubric around the worksheets. And when we talk about worksheets, delve into your expertise as teachers out there and admins. Think about the different ways that you can use worksheets, whether it's just simple 1 or 2 answer pieces, or creating elaborate essays, or having students create elaborate essays throughout the process. So make it thesis driven if you so desire. Consider having math worksheets in place that you could work through, or have your students work through as part of this process. And so that just kind of wraps it up in terms of what we'd see. I'm not going to go in and demo what it would look like if students would have turned in the regular assignments, so using the file upload, as you know, it would render in SpeedGrader pretty much the same way as they do so based on the rubric and all the information that you've added. So nothing really too mysterious there. And also, you'll notice that as you're working through this too, if you try to go in and activate these pieces through your student view, you're going to run into the problem that you're not going to be able to quite log in student view, or if you do, you're going to be using your existing credentials through 365. So something to watch out for as you work through the process. All right, so let's just talk about a few tips. I've kind of peppered through this demo with a few tips, but if you do install Office 365 in your instance, make sure that you delete it at the course level if it's installed a second time, or if it's been installed by your Canvas admin, so you don't get duplicate pieces. Now, one thing to consider is when you are placing 365 documents in modules, do so as an external tool, because it will render, Canvas will render those as the document rather than a link to the document. If you use 365 as a link within the rich content editor in a content page, then you will see that link rather than the document. If you're building out cloud assignments, make sure to build your rubrics first so that you can utilize those with the cloud assignments. It's not going to matter so much for the essay submissions that you are going to be working through otherwise. And finally, and I mentioned this too, be consistent with your naming conventions in files and folders so that you know that you're going to be working through those different pieces. All right, so that's the those are some tips that we can go through. Now, B. Ryan and I will take a look at some of the questions that have been posed.
Yeah, we've been looking at the chat. One of the questions was about, you know, Turnitin LTI in conjunction with the submissions coming in from 365. And so I think with that, there's a couple of workarounds or that have been presented here in the chat. But also one question came out and said, what if I'm, Shandy came up with the question, what if I'm using Office 365 and my students aren't? Will they still be able to complete those cloud assignments, or do you have to do anything different? So she says that she is actually a Microsoft school, but we're in two separate domains, faculty in one, students in another. Will that make a difference?
So I think that students are going to need the 365 credentials to actually access the forms in the cloud assignment. So I think that would be, that'd be the way to do it. If the students are going to be able to have to see it, then they'll have to be able to jump in and access it. I think that was one of the problems we ran into, B-Ride, when we were just trying to go through things in student view or different views, is some of the access that you have through Office 365. There's not just at least I haven't found it yet, there's not the golden key that puts you right into the document to be able to work through it.
And Matt follows up with, it does make a difference if your Office 365 admin has not set up a cross-domain sharing. So basically the way the LTI works, Shandy, I think, is instead of you having to go into your files in Office 365 and set up permissioning to share with other users, the LTI kind of does that for you. And if they can't find those users in the back end across the domain to different domain, I think that becomes a problem. And so either maybe set it up with, and Matt, maybe if you have some more feedback on that, that'd be great. But either you'll just have to set it up as a normal link where students can download that link and kind of work off of that, the sort of the old school way, or maybe talk to your admin to kind of create a more seamless integration there.
Right, I do want to echo on Matt's, please do set up the cross-domain sharing. That might help out things when it comes to the sharing of the information. As setting up some of the permissions can be, I don't know, a little frustrating at times or redundant after a certain point.
Thanks, Matt. Thanks, Sean.
Thank you, Matt.
Let's see. I think keep in mind again that these are still, the feedback is very valuable. There was another question about the LTI working with mobile, and I think at this point there's no parity there.
Yeah, I certainly haven't spent much time working through it on the mobile app to try it out, the Canvas app to try it out.
I think, again, like I said, the feedback is great. We'd love to hear more, and we're hoping to pass along all the feedback to the product team as they continue to work on this and, you know, evolve the integration.
Right.
Great. If there aren't any more questions, please feel free to continue posting them under the event page. You can reach me or Nick through the community. We do have one more. I know we didn't really demo the speed grader part because obviously it kind of functions in the same way as any other normal assignment, but let's go to the next slide real quick. Yeah, Ryan, I'll follow up with the mobile team and see kind of what their plans are, and I'll also follow up with the LTI team to find out kind of where they are at in terms of mobile. So I've made a note to follow up with you. Anyway, so please feel free to to check out the one more thing in our series. I was just talking earlier about the speed grader. You know, the functionality of the speed grader works essentially pretty much the same. But in the next session, we'll talk about not just the collaboration tools and how they work with the LTI, but we'll talk about OneNote as well, because there are some fun things you can do there in OneNote that'll align with the LTI, which makes the functionality of grading and things like that a little bit easier and a little bit more fun. So we'll come back in 2 weeks and talk about that. As always, please feel free to reach out to us at any time. Get involved in the Canvas Live. If you are not following the Canvas Live space, you can just go to live.canvaslms.com to follow. Any event that comes up, you'll get a notification. We have a Canvas Live user group, so if you're interested in doing a Canvas Live presentation and you want to coordinate or collaborate with some other people before you present, that's a great user group to kind of work together with. And then, of course, we have our Hangouts in the Canvas chat rooms, where you can chat with other users in the community in real time, especially as you're working through and troubleshooting some of the things that we often do in our day-to-day lives. Without further ado, I just wanted to say thank you for being here. And thanks, Nick, for your insights and your demo. We'll continue to build resources around this tool, and we'd love to hear your feedback and continue the dialogue. Have a wonderful weekend, and we hope to see you in the next LTI session in a couple weeks. Have a great day.